Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar this evening. We're going to be walking you through the online MS in Finance program with Dr. Barrett tonight. So my name's Eric. I'm one of the enrollment advisors here at the University of Miami. I'll just be assisting Dr. Barrett this evening and walking you through some of the information. So just so you guys have a brief idea of what we'll be looking at, this webinar is going to be about 30 minutes long. If you missed some of the information or you do want to re-access it later, we are recording it and we are going to post it to our YouTube page. We've got a bunch of different webinars that we've held on there. Some of them are the different interviews with the different enrollment advisors here, and some of the other program information if you want to check that out. So definitely take some time afterwards to visit the YouTube page as well. Right now, you guys will see you're all muted on the line, but you should have a box where you're able to type any kind of questions that you have. Just a reminder, this webinar is for all you guys, all the students, to ask questions. If you think of anything, definitely go ahead and send them over to us. Throughout the webinar, I'll be trying to relay the questions to Professor Barrett for him to answer. And anything we don't get to during the webinar, we'll definitely make sure at the end to try and address with you guys. We'll also be following the conversation on Twitter at UMiamiUOnline. So if you want to go ahead and post anything there as well, that'd be great. So yeah, like I said before, just keep in mind this webinar is for you guys, so any questions that you have, go ahead and reach out to us right now so we can help you out. So just a brief agenda of what we'll be going over this evening. So Dr. Barrett is going to kind of start by going over some of his goals for the MS in Finance program and his vision for how he really developed this, him and the rest of the faculty, and how they kind of brought that, that on-campus program into the online setting. We'll also do a brief overview of the program structure and really give you a pretty good idea of what it's like to be an online student here. We're then going to go through some of the different highlights for the classroom and really kind of zero in on what you guys are going to use and the different tools you'll have at your disposal to tackle some of these difficult quantitative problems that you'll be doing in the finance program. Then finally, we'll kind of finish up the webinar by going through some of the different admissions criteria. That'd be kind of me and the rest of the admissions team here, and then answer any additional questions that we didn't get to. All right, so as I said before, my name's Eric. I'm one of the enrollment advisors here at the University of Miami. I've been here for a year, just moved down here from Virginia about a year ago, and have been enjoying being down here in Florida. But let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and turn everything over to Dr. Barrett here. He's kind of the star of the show tonight. He'll be walking you guys through all the information for the program. So Dr. Barrett, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk some about the program. I'm a faculty member here at the University of Miami. I've been here since 1983, which makes me practically a dinosaur, I guess. And so you might say, well, what's an old guy like that doing an online program? Well, I like technology, so I think this is a good match. Anyway, I got my bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Michigan. I did my Master of Science in Industrial Management, which is basically an MBA, at Georgia Tech, and then I stayed at Georgia Tech for my PhD in financial economics. After that, I earned my Chartered Financial Analyst designation, and that's something, those of you interested in the investments world, that's something you're going to want to seriously think about. My research interests are basically in interest rate models, portfolio management, financial futures, things along those lines. And then in addition to my research and teaching, I've also been a consultant to investment management firms. I've been on the board of a couple of different financial institutions, and I'm also was a founding member of the local CFA Miami Society, which is the local affiliate of the CFA Institute. In addition to that as well, around school, I'm a co-director of the Vermont Carlin Scholars Program. I'm a co-director of our Student Managed Investment Fund, the CAT 5 Fund. I'm the director of the program, undergraduate program in International Finance and Marketing, and the director of the online component of the Master of Science in Finance. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And Eric, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, perfect. So One of the big questions I guess we get a lot, Dr. Barrett, is about how the university brought the on-campus program that's been around for a while and has really translated it into the online setting. So why don't you let the students know a little bit more about how you and the rest of the faculty did that, and then some of the different skills and outcomes they're going to have from this program.
Okay, great. Yeah, actually what we did is a lot of brainstorming because the format that we have on campus wasn't going to translate very well to online, both in terms of how we teach, because teaching in the classroom and teaching online are very different. So that took a lot of thinking, but also how we put the information together. So the two programs, we were very careful to make sure that everything, all the material covered is the same in both programs. But the way we cover it and the order in which we cover it and the way we bundle things together is very different. So the course numbers in this program, for example, don't correspond to course numbers for the on-campus program because they're packaged differently. Everything in this program is a 4-credit class. Everything in our on-campus program are 2-credit classes. So they're all kind of broken up differently. But that's one of the reasons why some of our classes are they look like they're co-taught. In fact, some of them are, but some of them are really just kind of 2 classes, more or less, kind of glued together. So, so that varies a little bit. So we put a lot of thought into how to do that and how it's going to work out the best, and that's how we ended up with the program that we have. In terms of skills, finance is about problem solving. It's really it's very different from other areas of business like management or even accounting, and although obviously we're closely related to those things because we're all aspects of business in the corporate sense, but finance is really about decision making. In that sense, it's much more akin to, say, management science, which is also a decision making discipline. So what we do, we tend to be fairly heavily into the quantitative aspects of that. So our classes we do a lot of math. There's a lot of problems to be solved, a lot of math problems to be gone through, and then we try to apply those to solving realistic problems that people come across in business. So we're really looking at those sort of quantitative financial aspects of business problems. That's on the corporate side. On the investment side, it's similar, except we're really looking at investment analysis, equity valuation, mergers, portfolio management, private wealth management, those kinds of things. So those are the skills, and somebody binged here. Anyway, and then the careers, you can see up on the screen there. This is just kind of a list of general kinds of things that people go into with a Master of Science in Finance. So let me just say something briefly about the difference between this and an MBA, because you might be considering that at this time as well. An MBA is a more general degree. In this program, you would get a lot more finance courses and not much of anything else. Whereas in an MBA, you'll get a couple of finance courses and a lot of other things. So your decision between the two depends a lot on where your interests are and what your background is, etc. So these are things that you want to think about very carefully when you're choosing a program. I did want to emphasize the quantitative nature of it. That's why in the entrance requirements we really look at like your quantitative background, what kind of math courses, what kind of finance, anything quant related, statistics. Those things are weigh heavily in our decisions sometimes. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Great. Yeah, no, thank you very much, Dr. Barrett. So while you were speaking there, we actually got a question from one of the students. They were asking about, you kind of alluded to how you've taken the on-campus, it's packaged a little bit differently. So they were actually asking the structure and what they're kind of looking at for the time to completion. So maybe you can speak a little bit more to that.
Right. And actually we've got that right on the slide up there. So you can see it's 32 credits. It's 4 credits at a time. You take one class at a time. And so that's if you start, let's say, for example, if you start in the fall, you take 2 classes in the fall sequentially, 2 classes in the spring. That gets you up to 8 credits. Then no, that's that's 16, and then 1 more year, two more full semesters after that, a summer and a fall, and you're done up to 32 credits. So it's a year plus a semester. I guess you call it a year and a third for the credit program, the degree program. The certificates are basically half that, and the certificate programs take the same first 3 courses as the degree program, plus then you have a choice of a corporate finance course or financial decision-making course at the end to finish the certificate. What else?
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So the other question we got as well from another student here is about the degree program, because you alluded to obviously that it's structured a little bit differently. Is it the same degree that they're going to get, once they finish the program?
Absolutely. These are accredited jointly, so it's considered one degree program as far as the university and the accreditation agencies are concerned, and that's why we have to pay a lot of attention to making sure that we're covering all the same material, especially since we're covering it kind of packaged differently. So that's very important. But going along with that, you see some of the faces on that slide there. Basically, the faculty who have developed and are teaching the online courses are the same faculty who are teaching those courses on campus. So it's not, that's one of the things that ties everything together, so that we don't really lose that not compatibility, but the parallelism between the 2 degree programs.
Okay, great. So let's also take a look at some of the different courses that the students are going to be enrolled in. Since you said they are packaged a little bit differently. And then I know a lot of students also ask, when they're taking these courses about the kind of time commitment that they can expect. So maybe you can speak about that a little bit more.
Right. That's a really good question. And my answer is going to be probably pretty similar to any master's degree program that you go into. I think you probably ought to plan on spending between 15 and 20 hours a week on school stuff. Okay, so that's going to include the lessons that you're doing, homework that you're doing, catching up, reading, quizzes, everything else. Now, the advantage of the online, of course, is that you get to structure this stuff to some degree around your own schedule. Of course, you're not completely free to do that because the class itself does run on a weekly basis, but you typically, more or less, you have basically within that week where you're going to get everything done, you've got flexibility as to exactly when you're going to do things. So, but don't kid yourself. If you're going to do a master's program, especially if you're working full time, this is like taking on another part-time job. It's a serious time commitment because it's a serious program. This isn't like one of those things you see advertised on a bus panel or something. This is the real deal.
Okay, great. And we had another student kind of going along with the time commitment and obviously the serious investment. One student asked as well about the ratio of professor to students. Can you speak to that a little bit more?
Yes. The way we have this done is let's say a cohort starts this fall. Depending on how many students come in, we might break those into different sections. We're targeting right now 25 people to a section as kind of a max. I mean, if we had 59 or maybe even 60 students, we'd probably make that 2 sections. Anything over that, we'd split into 3 sections. So you're going to be in a section. You get into the program, you're going to be in a section with a smaller group of people, and you'll stay with that group. That's sort of your cohort, and you'll be going through. Excuse me. And you'll get to know those people because you're going to have interactive tools, and you'll be able to talk with other students. In fact, several of the classes have group assignments because obviously group decision making is an important part of business these days. So you may be working on cases or just some large scale problems, together with other students, and you'll want to do, feedback with each other and be able to pass documents back and forth. And also for when you're working on things that's not a group project, once you start to get to know some of the other people in your class, then you'll have other contacts. You can get together and online and talk to people and talk about how to approach certain kinds of problems, etc. So we want to use the technology to simulate a classroom in the sense of having other people that you can actually virtually meet and talk with and have as your classmates, even though you might be on different coasts or even on different continents.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Barrett. So we're getting actually a lot of questions from students about a little bit more of the specifics on how the online is going to work and what the online classroom is going to look like. So this slide here that's up right now, this is actually an image of the one of the weeks from the second class that most students would take, the FIN 613, Intermediate Corporate Finance and Investments. So like I said, this is exactly what it would look like for a student when they enroll, when they start that second week here. So as you can see, it's set up in a Blackboard setup is what we use. So some people who have done online before may be a little bit more familiar with this structure. On the left-hand side is going to be all of the different navigation tools that you're going to have. And as you can see, you've got weeks 1 through 7 that are completely going to be laid out for you each week. So a lot of times students will ask me or will ask Professor Barrett about trying to budget out their time and trying to see everything that they're going to need to do for the course. At the very beginning, from the first day, you'll be able to access your syllabus, and you can actually access any assignment at this point to get it done and budget out your time accordingly. This would be the beginning of a week here. So this is a course introduction. So for all the finance program, or for all the finance classes, there's always a course introduction that the professors have prepared. It's going to be introducing the week and the different material that you guys are going to be going over. So it gives you kind of a quick snapshot of what to expect before you kind of dig into some of the assignments that you're going to have. Now let's take a look a little bit closer here. So this is going to be, after you've done the introduction, this is going to be taking a look at some of the actual assignments that you're going to have for that week. So as you can see, there's usually an additional video that the professors post that are going to go into additional detail about the assignments. And you've also got down at the bottom a cutout from your syllabus with the activities that you're going to need to complete for the week. So the faculty's done a really good job of showing you exactly what you're going to need to get done. So there's really no question of what's going to be upcoming and how you'll need to budget your time for the week. One question we got from another student was about the different videos, if they were going to be taught through a webinar in kind of a similar setting as this. So the answer is actually no. So these videos, what's cool about them is they've already been recorded. You can actually download them. So if you're going to be on the go, if you're going to be sitting waiting at soccer practice for the kids, or you're on the train riding home, you can have these videos pre-downloaded and watch them if you don't have Wi-Fi access, and watch them anytime that you want. So it does add to that flexibility aspect of it as well.
Yeah, let me just interject real quick. That's a very popular feature, because what people do sometimes, what students have told us, and this is even true when we do this on campus in the on-campus class, and that is students will go through one of these videos. We try to keep them fairly short. They're typically not longer than 10 minutes. You can see this one right here is only 2 minutes. And students go through it, and then maybe they go off and work on some problems or something like that. And then they run into something that they're not quite sure how to do. A lot of people will go back and then look at the video again, and now that they sort of understand the question and they understand sort of what they're trying to be thinking about, a lot of the recorded lesson makes more sense. So it's like going back and rereading a chapter, except probably a little bit more pleasant. Now, sorry, I didn't mean to sound like you're not going to be reading too. There are textbooks with many of these courses, and you're going to have reading assignments as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Barrett. All right, so let's take a look. So this next slide here, this is actually a printout here from, you can see a assignment from the week 2 work problems. So as Professor Barrett alluded to, this program is definitely asynchronous. You can absolutely log in whenever you want to do the work, as long as you meet the deadlines that have been laid out for you for the assignment. So along with the different videos and the textbook readings and the PowerPoint slides, you will have different assignments and different tests and quizzes just like you would in the on-campus program. So this right here is an actual problem from the the cost of capital assignment for the week 2 here that students would be working through. All right. All right, and then this page here, so this is even further going into one of the work problems. You can see this is actually a problem from the work set that a student would be asked to work through here. And then you go ahead and you put in the answer, and it does give you typically, if it's right or wrong, and then based on the course, there is some times where it will give you feedback, from the faculty. The other thing that the faculty have incorporated into some of the work problems as well is some of them you will be scanning in and submitting in a document that you've done, so the faculty is able to give you a lot more feedback based on where you went wrong on the problem, what you did right, what you did wrong. So really interactive in that regard. In other classes, you will be doing more Excel-based problem sets. In those, again, they can give you more direct feedback, and with the Excel base, it's really good and really relevant to the the finance industry right now, since that's going to be one of the main tools that that students are going to use.
Right, and we really one of the reasons we keep the sections reasonably small is so that we can get that feedback and the one-to-one contact. And then let me just go back real quick to one of the questions you were addressing a minute ago, and that is, some of the professors will also do like a weekly, say a 1-hour thing that would be like what we call office hours, where they will do a web conference kind of thing just for, in case people are interested and want to tune in and ask some questions and maybe get some questions answered. I think maybe on the next slide there's a little example of that.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, we had a question, Dr. Barrett, about some of those office hours and additional things that students can do if they need some help outside of just the course material or contacting you. So maybe you can speak a little bit more to that as well.
Yeah. In the Blackboard system that we have, there's what they call a virtual whiteboard, and we all have tablet PCs so that we can write on the screens, and so. We can take a problem like this and basically work it out step by step in front of the students, and of course explaining it verbally as we're going, and also as Eric mentioned before, all this stuff gets recorded, so it'll be available to you in the course, not on YouTube, but through Blackboard in the actual course. So if you want to go back and say, oh, geez, he just spent a half an hour explaining how to do that. That's a little long, but it happens. Then you can go back through and go, oh, that's where that rate goes, or that's where that cash flow goes, or whatever. So I think that these kinds of explanations people find really, really useful, and by doing it live, we can address questions that people have directly. The other thing people do sometimes is you can email in during the week, email in questions that you're having that you'd like to cover during like one of these office hour sessions, so that the professor can maybe prepare something ahead of time to make a good example, as opposed to just kind of starting from it cold. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, awesome. So the next slide here, in addition, Professor Barrett has talked about how you can communicate with him throughout the course, but a lot of times you'll also want to communicate with your classmates as well, and as he alluded to, the class size, we keep it pretty small. It's going to be about 20 to 25 students, so you'll get to know the professor, they'll know you, and you'll get to also know your classmates as well. One of the resources that a lot of professors will take advantage of is going to be a course messaging system. So it's actually going to be built into your classroom itself. What's really good about this is it's all located in one place. You're not going to be searching around for the correspondence from the professor or your other classmates. And you will be able to attach different assignments there and also customize who you send the announcements to. So it can go just to the professor if you want it to be private, or you can select some other classmates if you're in, maybe some kind of study group that you've formed, or to everyone if you think it's something that's really relevant to the entire group. So a lot of professors will take advantage of this just because of the convenience factor that it provides. In addition, some faculty members will also use your personal email as well. That's set up through the University of Miami, a University of Miami email account. So you will have multiple ways to communicate, not just through email, but also through the different office hours, in that small class kind of setting.
Right. I was going to say also, there are a lot of tools built into Blackboard that different faculty will use. So each class kind of has its own unique features. For example, there might be a discussion board, and it would show up there on the left-hand side in the gray part. Over there, it would show up maybe under syllabus or somewhere around there, and it would say discussion board. And you'd have topics in there. And everybody can go in and sort of put their 2 cents in worth about what they think about a certain type of problem or a certain issue, or maybe, I know one thing that I like to do in investments classes is I'll post up a current news article and ask everybody for comments, and then I grade them based on sort of how thoughtful the responses were. Go ahead.
All right, perfect. So one of the last things we just wanted to go over really quick was, for Professor Barrett to tell us a little bit more about, who you see as a good candidate for this program, and what you're really looking for in applicants that are maybe looking to start at the University of Miami.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I mentioned before that finance is a quantitative discipline, and it's about decision making. So I like to see, some quantitative background so that I know people aren't going to flounder when they start hitting the math problems. That's number one. Number two, the work experience is extremely valuable because it helps, in a master's program, it really helps the students put things into perspective. They understand a lot better why they're solving a certain problem, and that just really helps in terms of being able to put everything together and tie things in from different courses, etc. What else?
Okay, perfect. No, that was good. No, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to communicate to the students before I kind of walk them through any of the admissions information?
Not that I can think of right now. I think I've hit all my high points.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much. So yeah, for anyone who has additional questions, definitely feel free to send them over right now while we have a little bit extra time. Like I said as well, you are able to also contact us here at the enrollment department if you are interested in applying. So the deadline to apply here for the fall semester, it is August 17th, so there is definitely still time for you to start here. Definitely feel free to give us a call, and so we can go through some of the admissions criteria with you. It is a little bit different for every student because we do take into consideration your GPA, your work experience. All that is considered, as Professor Barrett spoke about. We're also going to be offering several different scholarships for eligible students that begin here for the fall semester. So it's definitely worth your time to call and see if you're eligible for those. If not, though, as you can see listed there, we are going to have another spring start for January, and that deadline is going to be in December. If you do want to go ahead and apply, though, definitely follow the link there to the online website where you can go ahead and fill out the information. It's free to do, and the great thing is with the admissions, we normally get back to you in about 48 hours, letting you know if this is something that will be an option for you. Finally, on this page here, we've just got some of our contact information for you guys. If you want to go ahead and give me a call or send me an email, so my name's Eric Sargent. I'll be available for a little while probably after this webinar, as well as all day tomorrow for additional questions, and I can be reached at that advising number that's listed there as well. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We will try to answer any additional questions that you have. Like I said, feel free to contact me. Have a good evening. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Good night.